One of the initial things the entrepreneurs need to do is first of all look to see who the inventors are going to be on a patent application, and by doing that you look at the subject matter of the claims and decide who's had a contribution to that. And then you need to look at the relationship between the inventors and the actual company. Are they under contract? Are they employees? Is it through a research institution? Have there been grants? All of these things can sometimes have additional clauses for IP ownership. For example, for funding or for a grant from a third party, there may be some IP rights there. Or for a researcher based at a university, maybe the university owns part of their IP. So initially you should review contracts and the relationship between the inventors and the company to assess, do you actually own the IP? And therefore when you spend the money going forward on the patents, are they something that you own, or is it likely that somebody else may come forward and claim partial ownership? Investors will always be interested when they're looking at whether they invest in your company, not only the patents or the applications that you have that may be there to protect what you're doing, but also if you have the freedom to operate or the right to practice your invention. Issued patents provide you with the right to exclude others from doing, but don't necessarily provide you with the right to practice your own invention. So one of the areas that an entrepreneur can start off by doing is doing some searching to see what other patents and applications are out there. Are there going to be people who they either have to license from to be able to practice their invention, or other people that might block them from proceeding to going ahead with their commercial product? So one of these areas is you can look to see other researchers that you know in this field or competitors, and do some patent searching initially to see what the actual patent field is like surrounding the area you're looking to seek protection in. Entrepreneurs in the life science area tend to come from or have stemmed from a lot of research in the academic field, maybe universities or research institutions, an area where publications are quite important in that field. You have to bear in mind that something that is a subject matter of a publication isn't necessarily something that equates to a patentable subject matter, not only in the legal sense but also providing an application that has good protection in the end. So the answer is you don't always want to necessarily file a patent application on everything that you're doing. You want to take a good look at the types of claims you can end up getting, what your end commercial product can be, if you can get protection for that, and then the interest in what's potentially out in the marketplace that you can seek protection for. Sometimes you're also too early in the research stage to actually want to file straight away, and maybe you want to wait to see where your research heads to see the end game of a commercial product. IP costs are generally expensive. When you go down the patent process, there are filing fees, examination fees, upfront drafting fees. It is an expensive process. One of the ways that entrepreneurs can look to maybe reduce some of their costs is to take a really strategic look at where their markets are for the end commercial product, maybe where there's other research going on to sort of prevent competitors coming to the marketplace, and look at strategies at the beginning for filing. Maybe a US provisional application can provide some extra time for them to be able to look for other funding. When you actually have pending applications in different jurisdictions, sometimes you can delay examination by not requesting it early, and maybe buy some more time for getting, again, additional funding to look to pay for those costs. The caveat to everything is that you want to make sure that up front you do spend the costs to ensure that you have a secure application that's filed for providing support for you to be able to get the scope of claims that you want. If you don't spend that initial money up front, it can actually cause you more problems later on down the line, where you end up having to spend more money trying to fix problems that could have been dealt with early on. In the life sciences area, you generally find that a lot of the entrepreneurs and startup companies can be at the beginning stages of research, and to end up getting to a commercial product takes some time, and sometimes that can mean that during the research stages their actual focus on where the commercial product is or what it is can change. One of the areas that you can look then is to maintaining pending applications in jurisdictions where possible, so that you have the ability to change your scope of claims so that you can actually protect the product. The other area is when you have maybe a third-party investor who comes in or maybe takes over a company or merges. You can look to maybe see if they're wanting to change the direction of the research. If you still have pending applications going, providing you have support for the claims, you may be able to change the claim scope to cover off what they're wanting to do. In addition, when you're looking at maybe competitors, if you see some competitors coming into the marketplace, you also maybe want to look to see if you're able to cover off what they're doing in your own applications. And so by having pending applications in jurisdictions where it's possible, maybe delaying examination or just filing, for example, in the US a continuation, you have the ability to change the scope of the claims where there's support and manoeuvre around being able to maybe capture what other people are doing as well. This provides additional benefit to your IP portfolio and may be more attractive to other investors.